other school districts using this tool. The IU uses this tool that we want to talk about today. But we want to bring it to the committee's attention and try to get your support to go forward with the use of SMORE as our online newsletter that we'll send out once a month. And what we're doing is it's a $1,200 fee. We'd like to use ESSER's funds, which is an allowable expense because it's communication, for the next 2 years. After that, the board have to have a discussion about what they would like to do. But we think that this is a nice tool, an avenue that allows us to connect and engage with families quickly and a little bit more robust of a manner and a much more visually appealing manner as well. There is a fee associated with it because we are asking for the team account. That way we can have multiple people, multiple departments adding to the newsletter to build it out. But it's something that we thought was important, was something we thought was necessary in order to connect and engage. As I know, that's been one of the goals of the outreach committee meeting. What we would do it once a month. I would use it in multiple ways. For me, I'd use it for my superintendent's report and then any other communication I want to send. But the buildings would do it once a month on the 19th, and it would serve kind of as a combination of their board report, but also community report. So it would serve dual purposes, but it would free up some meeting at the academic committee meetings as well. So rather than each building going over the report, you would have this a week or two in advance, and then the families would see the same report. So we'd keep it to very general specifics, but in order to increase awareness, increase transparency, but and also most importantly for me, tell the good about what's going on in the district and stop the spread of misinformation. I think this is a nice tool to do it. I think it's robust. I think it's powerful. I want the more expensive version, which is $1,200, because it gives multiple people access. But when you have a district of almost 3,000 kids, I think you need multiple people adding and contributing stories because we want to get that information out there. So that's the big picture behind it. Mine would start, I have one ready to go today to our families if the committee would approve it. And then I have one ready right before Thanksgiving. And then the buildings would start it in December, if this is okay with the committee. I could show you one, but before I do that, I just want to see if there's any thoughts or questions from the committee.
Well, you can go first. I think we saw a preview in an email that you sent us, and
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I thought it was very nice. And as far as the cost goes, we used to print newsletters weekly or monthly, and they were, I don't know, sometimes 15, 20 pages. So I assume that the cost would be less possibly and more environmentally friendly.
I didn't even think about that. You're right. I didn't even think about the cost of printing. Yes. So it should be washed. Yes, ma'am. I'm hopeful. Jared, is there anything you want to add to the price? Are you okay with that? It's only $1,100. It's an annual fee.
We can use ESSER funding for that. That could even possibly, depending on when we pay for the subscription, could possibly get even 3 years out of it, because we can go the whole way to September 30th of 2024 to use that money. So
Okay. This is an example of one Miss Leeper referred to. I sent you my superintendent's report, but what would be nice is if I get good at this, I can send it to all of our parents as well. So instead of going to the website, they can get it via the email. The one concern we could have is, wow, you may be getting multiple emails a month, but you know what? They do it right now with COVID. That's one. And two, if they don't like it, they can simply delete the email. But it also tells a nice way about all the good that's happened in our district. So if you look at it, I think it comes off visually appealing. We can change the parameters and have some different flavors and bedazzle how we see fit. But it's a nice way to really just get involved and let the community know about what we're doing. We're going to use it also for internal meetings as well. It could think of it almost like a Google Doc where we can keep adding information and content to it. So there's more purposes than just outreach. There's some internal communications, which I think this could be used for as well. And right now we have Mr. Banny's one that uses this with her building principals. She sends this, or her building staff. She sends this out. Uses this to communicate with her staff as well. And what I would do is I would archive this all on the website as well. So if people wanted to go past and see prior sessions, we can easily do that as well. But again, it comes at a cost. Ms. Leeper kind of made up a great point where it's kind of cost neutral compared to what we used to do in the past. But it's just a new, nicer way to engage with the families. I think we, have responsibility to stop the spread of misinformation and present the good that's going on in our district. And what we're going to do at this level was central admin will send one on the monthly basis. I'll use it for that as well as my superintendent's report. Elementary is working on sending one newsletter because I know the board valued elementary's working together, not in silos. And if it gets to the point where it doesn't work out, then we can break it into individual buildings. But we're going to start out with one elementary newsletter, and then the high school and junior high will do their own, only because there's so many things going on at the high school. It's going to be overwhelming, but we think it's important to communicate those those things out. So it's a step, it aligns towards the goals that you set forward for us. It's a more green way of taking care of things, and we think it's a cost neutral. So I really just want to show that to you, to have your support. I mean, we could approve it in the budget when we pay the bills later on, like we do every other time, but this is something we wanted to bring to your attention and make sure it aligns to your goals. We think it does. We think it's exactly what you're looking for, and it allows us to really personalize it and add some pictures and make it a little more visually appealing.
I had 2 questions.
Sure.
I think when you scrolled all the way up, is the document handicap accessible? Because I know we had issues with the website, but could somebody who's impaired be able to, like, would it read it for them?
Yeah, according to their website, there is accessibility features as well as a translation feature that's incumbent upon it, that's built into there. Have I seen it? Have I used it? I have not. It says it's part of the subscription we would get, so I believe it does do those things. I have not tested out personally, but I believe it does.
And then my second question is, would this be a duty for the principals, or would it be passed on to a secretary? Because I know previously the secretaries, I believe, kind of worked on it. It depends. It was different building by building, but would work on the newsletter. So there's some issues with training. So I'm curious, whose job responsibility, and does training come with this package?
I think ultimately it's always the principals, right? It's their newsletter, so they're going to have to make sure they're responsible for what goes in there. If that includes giving other people access, then it's incumbent upon them to train them as well. What we'll do from my level, we'll make sure all the principals have the support they need. Then it'll be incumbent upon them, if they want to grant access to other people within their organization, to train them as well. What SMORE does pretty well is they include a lot of tutorials, videos to follow along. So it's pretty simple. If you can use a Google Doc, you can use this. But ultimately, it's the responsibility of the building principals to make sure it's vetted, well done, and whoever needs access has access. Like, for example, we talked this morning about the counselors. Maybe we want to have a counselor's corner, and they embed some information, so they may need access to this. Again, that's why we need the team access folder. But yes, they could have access, they could edit it, but ultimately, it's the principal's responsibility to go in and make sure that the content's accurate, it's up to date, but more importantly, it's void of any bias or political or personal views. This is stuff to engage our families about what's going great in our district, and as well as some of the changes we're facing, but also spreading the misinformation. And you'll note, Ms. Barker, for what it's worth, is we had one individual questioning. If you do note real quick, you asked about visually impaired. I hit the feature on the right with the larger font, and it has already adjusted the font size to be larger. So that's one thing. That's one thing that's built in there already. But you'll notice we use this as a way to communicate with families. But for example, we dealt with one individual just misrepresenting some of the things we're doing academically and critical and curriculum wise. So I included in my first newsletter some information in further support of the changes we made in regard to literacy. Ed Reports came out and did a pretty scathing evaluation of Fontes Pinnell, which we used in this district, which is aligned to the whole balanced literacy approach. And they they did a nice job coming out and saying, look, it has not worked in schools. In fact, it hurts kids. So when you take out the personal bias or the local politics from the situation, and you look at the facts, the research, you see we made the right decision 3 years ago. This just further substantiates why we did what we did. And I think I need to do a better job explaining why we did what we did, because the numbers speak for themselves. And you see here, this hurts a great majority of kids. And this is a national movement that we spoke about. And this report is available online that anyone can go see. And we also embedded a video. And that's one thing I do like. So if people don't want to read, they can do a combination either from external videos like YouTube, or make our own and embed them in there too as well. So perhaps the middle school wants to, I know Mr. Edmondson does his little junior high checkouts. He can now simply embed this in there as well. So it's not replacing what he did, it's just over communicating what he did. And we can use multiple modes of communication, both written as well as now some video as well.
Does anyone have any questions, or are you ready for the workload, I guess?
Ms. Blank has
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Ms. Blank.
Okay, sorry. I was wondering, is there any way to like also use this for like surveys or message boards, or you know what I mean? Just do even more with it.
Yeah, what we could do is use our traditional method of Google Forms and embed the link inside this report to do that. So yeah, you can absolutely do that. Yes, ma'am, you can.
then that seems very perfect to me, because that way you could have it all in one central location.
And also the analytics. That's important for us to see
Yeah,
if
yeah.
people are getting the message.
Yeah. For those who can't hear what Ms. Savagian said, she's absolutely right. There's an analytics feature, so we could tell who opened it, how long they were on it, what clicks they went to, so we can try to get a little bit more a pulse on the data. Because I know one question always came up as well: who's looking at the email? It's like, I don't know.
We can
Um,
also see like how people are engaged.
Yep.
So if they're clicking on things more than other times, we know to continue to give them more information about those things or something like that.
Agreed. Agreed. We're going to make it more thematic at the elementary level, talking about what we're doing in the area of literacy, science, STEM, mathematics, SEL, so people understand that and correct the misinformation that's being spread. At the high school, you're going to see much more robust information because all the different avenues they have going on. But we think it's going to help align to your goals as well as meet a lot of needs that you want. Krista?
Does this work? Well, this is Krista Savagian. We're also going to add in at the elementary level, ask me about, like, as a child. So ask me about man money or Dwight dollars. How much did I earn? What am I saving for? So we'll give them directed questions to be able to have that conversation on your way to a football game or around the dinner table if you have dinner together at a table. But just even walking, like, it'll give them conversation starters. So we're just looking for ways to engage families intentionally versus a bunch of information in one place.
Yeah, that came up today, and I thought that was a really cool idea. So, and you guys can correct me wrong. I think the way you said, look, it combines CKLA, because in CKLA they asked you to do that, as well as it aligns with their academic parent-teacher teams, and it now helps parents to engage their kids in the programming we do. So when they brought up today, it's like, heck yeah, that's a no-brainer. So it really starts the conversation. So rather than misinformation being spread or no information being spread, we help now spark some conversation. So that's something we're going to add to as well. So thank you for reminding us. Ms. Lieber?
I love that idea to ask to help parents.
Kid
Just
stuff
give them
always does.
questions. Yeah. Would like to suggest that at the junior senior high, maybe there should be an index, because I assume that it's going to be a very, very long document. And if I don't care about one section, but I do care about another, like sports versus academics or certain grade levels, or if I'm really interested in like SAT prep and stuff like that, it might help to do that if it's super long. Just a thought.
I agree. And we want to, yes, we're going to work on it. We're going to make some mistakes at the first month or two, but we'll refine it and we'll get better, because that's one thing we talked about today is we don't want them being incredibly long, but we'll get better at that. We can absolutely see what we could do. I think Mr. Barker had a question.
Yeah, I had a question about the opt-in nature. So, does this platform allow users to opt in to the newsletter? So, might be interested community members. And then the analytics question was answered already. And then just a couple thoughts is before you send the first email, I'm assuming this will come with an unsubscribe note at the bottom, which is required for any opt-in communications to be aligned with the CAN-SPAM Act. So if it does include an unsubscribe notification at the bottom, what may happen with some users' emails clients, it may filter it to a promotions or a newsletter category. So you may actually see your analytics read rate decrease a little bit, but it's not an issue. It just means that the standard read rate is about 20 to 22% when it comes to email newsletters. And so perhaps before sending the first one, you might want to send a note, hey, we're going to switch to a new software and or we're adding this, and hey, make sure you check your promotions folder or check your newsletters folder, because people may miss it then. So I guess my main question though is will community members be able to opt in, or is this going to be just for internal stakeholders and already identified emails that the district has already collected?
As of right now, it's dedicated to our families, internal stakeholders, but there's nothing that precludes us from going externally. In fact, they'll have access to that because these are going to be archived on the website, so family and community members can go to that anytime. There will be no right to know or no sensitive information posted. We have a meeting this afternoon at 1:00 with the company, pending the outcome of this meeting, to look at some of the finer details about the user friendliness of this. For example, when I sent a sample went out to the board, a big error came up saying something like this may be phishing or spam or something of that sort. So Randy already contacted the company this morning and found that by going through this package, we can make some changes to our domain name and our features that when we send it out, then that would be excluded. So that's something that we have a meeting at 1 o'clock that we're trying to work on. But as of right now, what we're going to generate our mailing list is from our Bright Arrow Power School system, student information management system. But what we could do is think about how, if people want a copy of this newsletter, if they want to opt in, maybe wherever we house these on the website, they can just simply email us, and then we can add them into our groups, because we're going to be setting up just downloading a CSV file from Power School and then uploading that into this newsletter. So that's some details we can work out later on today when we meet with that one. Randy, anything you want to add to that I may have misspoke about? Nope, everything's good.
Okay. Well, I support it. Tamara, do you?
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay. The next item that we have that we're just not ready to bring forward a cost to you yet, or a company. I sent all the board the example of the common cafe shop, or the thing at the high school, the cafe at the coffee shop they have at the high school. We liked the quality of production in that video. We liked the way they communicated our message. What we are talking about internally, and we'll bring it through this committee when we're ready, but at least want to put on your radar now, is how do we take that notion of what they did with that video and maybe base it around a theme of literacy? Maybe base that around explaining what we do in the area of social emotional learning. Some of those bigger topics that we can't do high quality wise, that if someone's moving to the district, if they want to see what our programming looks like, they can get an overview. So we're trying to say, look, how do we think of it as a feature length movie? How do we connect with audiences about some of the main ingredients or main priorities of the district that also could be used not only to educate and inform, but for people who are curious about moving to the district to learn more about our programming. As you know, in the state house right now, there's some kicking around the ideas of making school districts post their curriculum online. So think about in a way of that, because I think when people read curriculum, they don't understand what they're reading. So if we could do some more in the area of video that explains what we're doing and why we're doing it. So when we get information or a question about misinformation, we can simply refer them to the video, and they can understand what it looks like, what it sounds like. It doesn't preclude them from coming in and meeting with us. That's a follow-up. But this is a way to help communicate and brand all the work that we're doing. Because if you look at the last 3 years, what this board's done, it's been pretty remarkable in the area of academics and the area of supports. I just think I need to do a better job communicating that, and video may be one of the ways in which we do that. We looked at one company out near Philadelphia, and we're going to try to vet some different companies. We're actually trying to get in touch with the company that did the one for the Commons Cafe video. We really liked that one, the quality and the style and the layout and the HD, but we're not there yet. And we just want to put it on your radar. That's something we'd like to do. So if you say, well, Mike, what type of videos? One would be on literacy. One would be correcting any misinformation around the area of social emotional learning and the importance behind it. But then another one may be about dual enrollment. Another one may be about just the district in general, what we look like, what our composition is, our programming, our supports we have in place. So if people are looking to purchase and buy real estate, and I mean, you have a lot of options now. You can understand some of the things that we do in some of our programming. So I know it seems kind of like a silly idea, but we also then, it combines well with the s'more, because we could put that right in the s'more. And we want to do some more weekly videos with our families as well. So we're trying to think a little bit bigger picture here. Again, we don't have the details spelled out. We don't even have a company, but we at least wanted to get some input and see if you find any merit in that as we continue to explore that opportunity.
I think the videos that the district has been doing has been good. Sometimes, I don't know what the correct word would be. It's easier to understand a video than it is to understand multiple paragraphs on a sheet of paper. And so it's easier to communicate. But yeah, I support exploring it more and seeing what you can find. Any ideas?
I guess my thought would be, is there a way that like Mr. Pushkar and that department at the high school could be involved, or IUP Communications Media, or I'm not sure if there's something at the tech center that does that. I know they have, I don't know, communication, some kind of media, but maybe look a little closer to home and have our kids involved if we can, to give them that experience to produce something like that.
No, we agree. We think you're absolutely right. We reached out to the IUP Communications Department already. We have a request in them to meet with them and talk to them. And then our hope would be that they would start the process, and then Mr. Pushkar and his kids would then help maintain the process and continue to grow it. We just haven't heard back from IUP, but we at least want to get on your radar right now. I did not go to ICTC. That's a good idea. I kind of neglected that one, but we can follow them up. So yeah, we are looking something sustainable, something local, and the interns we think at IUP could provide a nice help, but we're just going to have to wait and see how the meeting goes. Yep.
Perfect. Sounds good. You guys are on top of it.
And that's all I have for those 2 items. Miss.
I think there's questions online.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to pull them up? I'm sorry. Mr. Hart. Go ahead, Miss Blank.
Yeah, I was just curious. One of the things I'm hoping to find in the next couple of years is to see more signs around town or in businesses of Indiana School Pride or something. Maybe you could check and see if there's any way for them to have a online store to if we could do that in the next couple of years so that parents could buy bumper stickers or pencils or whatever we could offer.
Yes, Fast Time, someone like that could do that rather quickly. Yep, it's something we can reach out to them and we can have an online store. The one thing that I just haven't got to and I need to is I know the junior high and high school have a school store. I didn't want to compete with them or hurt them, so I just have to have a conversation with them. If they can't do it or don't have an interest, then we can absolutely go with something like Fast Times. Anyone can do those relatively quickly now, and we can do it. And what's nice about it, and I'll defer to Jared, but from a controls perspective, these online stores then really don't require us to have any hands-on cash or anything of that sort. They can just go right to the company, and then we would get a check for any extra additional funds that we would raise if there's a markup on any product for any school-led initiatives, or we could just sell it at cost. But that would be nice from internal controls perspective, not having to touch money. Jared, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I know different groups do different fundraisers and sell different kind of school spirit items throughout the year. Most of the time, the district really has nothing to do with cash as far as you order online, it gets delivered, shipped directly to your house. So it is kind of a nice new way of the district not having to handle the money while still benefiting from those fundraisers online.
Another benefit is the fact that the parents can actually purchase stuff as opposed to depending on the kids to actually go in and pick up what you would like to have.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Or alumni or anyone else. Yep, absolutely. I'm sorry, Mr. Barker, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, a couple other places. I think the video idea is awesome. A couple other places you might want to ask about if you haven't already. I know you reached out to IUP, but specifically, if they aren't getting back to you, or if you haven't explored this route, the Center for Media Production and Research out of the Department of Communications. The point of contact there is Jeff Frantangeli, and they do real quality work. You get sort of like a higher level product versus just going with an intern, like a student intern, for example, sometimes. And then the other one is there's a local outfit. I know there's lots of video production vendors, but one that came out of Indiana and now is in the Pittsburgh market is Vinegar Hill Productions. So Vinegar Hill Productions makes documentaries, some local people, and they actually dedicate 5% of their revenue to produce at-cost films for nonprofits. So given their Indiana connection, you might want to inquire with Vinegar Hill Productions. I don't know them personally. I don't really have an interest in the outfit, but it's just something that I'm aware of.
Thank you. What was the first one again? I'm sorry, sir. Center for
The IUP Center for Media Production and Research, CMPR, and that's housed under the College of Ed, and in particular the Department of Communications Media. And the point of contact there is Jeff Frantangeli.
Okay. Yep. And that's in the education department because that's where I went the other day. Dr. Sue Riggs' office. That's where I went, and her assistant took care of me. Was that the right office then?
That's the right office. Yep.
Okay. Yep. That's who I made my initial request to. Yep.
Yeah, that's the right place. Cool.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. No further questions, and we'll move to non-agenda items. So number one is email attachments and security. Randy, do you wanna, or Mike, take this one off?
Yeah, no, Miss Leeper and I were talking. There's always some real threats with cybersecurity going around, and now you see it now even affecting schools, where some schools could be held hostage for information and money and ransomware. And we were just having a conversation about, well, what else can we do to protect our security? Is it simply attaching the documents? Is it okay with the links? And that's way above my understanding of it. So I brought Randy in, and maybe Randy could speak It's about what our protocols look like, what safety nets we have in place, and how the practice we use are or not industry standard. But before I turn it over to Randy, Ms. Leeper, did I misspeak at all?
No. So I guess my concern, and I'll just say my husband's concern, because he's the one that really brings it up, is that the links more than the PDFs, because we pretty much all have PDF scanners, but clicking on links when we can't always read who the email is from. And people are getting really savvy at making an email look like it's from an organization, and it doesn't. And anyway, so I guess that's the concern, that with so many ransomware attacks happening, and I know that sometimes I open the email and the address is so long because it's Bright Arrow, I can't really see Bright Arrow. Bright Arrow isn't always spelled out, so I can't really verify that it's being sent from the district. So more to protect our parents, I guess, because I feel like you guys know how to protect yourselves, but I think it's people who are receiving your email. And then my other thing is just for consistency, like sometimes I get emails with PDFs, sometimes I get emails with links, sometimes I get emails with the text in the body. Like, I guess I personally don't understand, and there may be a reason why we just can't have it in the body to eliminate that extra step for parents. Just give me the information really quickly. Anyway, those
Those are all good points.
well,
Because like schools have been attacked. So I mean, those are all good points. Randy, I can't speak that like you can, so I'll defer to you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're referring to is not necessarily us being attacked
Correct.
as a school district, because, we use Google. Like, I don't have an in-house email system. Like,
Right.
So and Google does a really good job, and we have things we can turn on and off and things like that. And just like with the test that you sent out, when it was coming from SMORE, and by default, until we kind of go to the higher level of it, it actually is sent out with mvukovic.users or mvukovic@users.smore.com or something like that, and it instantly drew a flag for one of us, and saying, hey, this might be phishing and all that kind of stuff, And then the reason it did that was because Mvukovic is one of our employees.
Right.
So we have an account called mvukovic@iaz.cc. It instantly threw up a red flag for that. It comes up with the big yellow bar across the
Right.
top.
I tried to open it this morning and got the same thing.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that it's bad or good. It's a nice visual warning to say, hey, and then you can kind of make a phone call and say, is this legitimate or is it not? And then you can kind of say, well, once we move to the new package, we should be able to start sending them with our own domain, because there's a domain verification through SMORE that we can prove that it's our domain and all that kind of stuff. So we should start be able to send those out. So a lot of people that use Google or even like Yahoo Mail or Apple will have a lot of the same protections, when they go through it. So even your personal account through Google, when you're using their, when you log on to gmail.google.com, you're going to have a lot of the same protections that we have here, just because that's advantageous to their system. The things like that don't go through. The consistency, we can talk to the consistency on how we send things out, so it's not 3 different ways for 3 different emails that you may get in the same day.
Right.
It's just an unfortunate thing for doing business on the internet. We just with the links coming in, and I totally agree. It's they make me nervous, even when I know that person should have sent me a link or anything like that. Like the email that Mr. Barker just sent today with the IUP stuff. It was links. It wasn't embedded in the body. It wasn't anything like that. And it's a little bit easier for to keep things organized on our end to send things like that. But just like anything, almost any email can be spoofed. Email address can be spoofed, or at least make it look like it's kind of an official thing on the other end. And it's kind of like it's just kind of doing business on the internet. It's unfortunate that people do that, but I think one of our main what we're doing is not uncommon practice. I still get emails about my from my bank that have links in it. I get emails from Google concerning our admin console saying there's a new option, click here and you can take a look at it. And it's, it's just unfortunate. We try to do our best to make sure that that when stuff goes out, if it's coming from Bright Arrow, I mean, obviously it's going to be legit, that it can't originate from Bright Arrow and be, but that, I guess, I mean, unless, because there's only certain people in the district that can actually send those out. And right now it's primarily just one person that ultimately sends those out based on the information you guys give us. So it's as good as it can be that way, and I think that the fear is, the links kind of take you directly to it, and with any website, no matter how well laid out it is, if it's several links deep in that website, people are going to kind of get annoyed to say, when it says, hey, go to our website, click on this pull-down menu, and click on this area, and you can see what we're talking about. One of the big fears is that they're going to get those emails, and instead of putting links in, if we put directions on how to get to it, or just plainly visit our website, nobody's going to go to the stuff anymore. And then all of a sudden, our reach and our effectiveness is kind of down. So. I know that's probably not a great answer. It's just, I'm not really sure how else we can do it. This new S'more is a great way, because we can embed a lot of things just in that. But with the Bright Arrow, just like any other mass notification system, it relies on kind of certain standards that.
Right, and that's fine. I mean, I just wanted to bring it up, and two, just the consistency. Right. Like Friday, I got an email that said, "View a letter from Mr. Johnson," and it said in the attachment below, and it was actually a link, and it was just this letter that mentioned there was going to be a drill, and like it was not long, so it wasn't something that you'd be scrolling through. So I guess too, just really consistency. It looks like everybody's sending out communications in a different way.
I agree. I think that's fair, and I think the
I
S'mores.
guess those are my too.
I think you're right, and like Ms. Barker asked a question to the principals. Well, how are you going to handle the new workload with creating these newsletters? Where to me, I think we've always had a responsibility to communicate with our families. I think this is just a different way of doing it. So hopefully we get good and we get smart at it. It will either decrease the workload or just maintain it, because you have to look at it, either going to be proactive and get in front of it, or you're going to be reactive. And I'm tired of being reactive. Really tired of it. We have a lot of great families, but we can always improve in our communication. I had one parent email me about a concern at East Pike, and we didn't communicate as well as we should have, and that's on me. And we have to get better at that, because these are people who have to plan, they have to go to work. So we're just trying to get better, and we're trying to take the input we get from people and change and manage the things we can handle and get better and change. So I know it sounds silly, but that's where we're trying to get at.
And if anybody, because obviously we're recording this, and this will be on YouTube, if anybody doesn't feel comfortable with something that we sent them, we encourage them to not do anything with it and contact us. Sure. And we'll let them know, oh yeah, that went out at whatever time last night, and we can even help them get to where it is on the website or where the pertinent information is. But yes, if anybody feels uncomfortable about anything that potentially came from us, just let us know, and we can check on it and verify it for you. That makes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any questions online or in the room?
I don't see any hands up. No, Ms. Sleeper, no, Ms. Parker.
Okay. I guess for the good of order, then we're done.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.